I can see you. This is the first. We're recording, and we can see the peoples. The peoples can see us.
The podcast made by people with faces definitely for radio.
Absolutely. So this is the start of season 3. We've made it into a third season without killing each other. So the gypsy was wrong because she said our deaths would come at each other's hands simultaneously.
She also said we had to sacrifice our firstborn, and that worked out fine.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not going to do a joke. I'm sure you're depressed about that. But instead, I'm going to do a would you rather.
Oh, okay.
So, Kent, would you rather have the ability to talk to all and any animal, but every 10th animal you come across just roasted you mercilessly? Like they were top tier, excellent roaster, like could almost make you cry. Or would you rather have the ability to fly, but as soon as you started flying, your bowels would start filling up at a rapid click?
Okay, so I think if I take the talk to animals, but every 10th one is roasting me, that would actually decrease the amount of animals judging me in my lifetime. So
no, they'd
I'm
still
gonna
judge
go
you.
with that
They'd
one.
still judge you. They just wouldn't be as vocal about it.
They wouldn't be a vocal. Okay. So anyway, we're going with talk to animals. I have thick skin. I can be roasted by a dog.
See, really, because like for me, my whole desire to fly has always been so I could poop on people.
No,
so if I'm going up there and my ammo is just replenishing constantly, it's a win-win.
Just don't walk under Corey when he's flying.
Anyway, welcome to VetMed for Idiots by Idiots. I'm the host that everybody loves, Corey the Common Idiot, with my co-host that nobody loves, Kent the Dictor Idiot, Dr. Idiot. And we have a special guest today. This is our first celebrity guest.
Celebrity. All right. Today we have friend, mentor, veterinarian, cartoonist, and author joining us.
And the man
today.
who plowed his way through 1992's Playboy Mansion.
I don't know if I get that reference.
That's no reference. I'm just
okay.
saying,
Anyway, today
the right way.
Okay. Moving on. Today we have all the titles there. Author Dean Scott. Say hello, Dean.
Hey, good to be here.
So, Dean, generally, how we start the show when we have guests on and we're talking about something. Today, we're kind of doing an episode about side hustles. Because, like I said, you're both a cartoonist, children's author, and you recently released a book of short horror stories, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, The Deep End of Midnight.
It is on my to-read list, but I have yet to read it. I do have a copy of Dragon Vet at home. Anyway, to start the show, just kind of give us your background, when you wanted to become a veterinarian, where you went to school, just kind of a general. Dean as a doctor, and then we'll go into Dean as a cartoonist after that.
Okay, a lot of overlap there. So, I get asked the question. I think we all do. Of when did you know you wanted to be a veterinarian? And for me, it was always there. There was no moment, I would say, that it wasn't there, and it was just one of those things in life. I think everyone goes through that. I mean, pretty much any interview you see with anyone, it seems like they are like, oh yeah, I want to be a veterinarian when I was 5, 6, and 7, but now they're doing something else. I guess it just stuck with me. So I went to, I don't like to say I graduated from UC Davis, but I survived UC Davis. I was released on my own recognizance in 1993. I'm still on probation, I think. I don't know. But, and then I went into the Army for 5 years, straight from vet school, mainly because it paid the best at the time, and it was a pretty straightforward job. And actually, I would have stayed in the Army for 30 years if they had just kept me at the same job. But in the Army, you have to get promoted, you have to go through these hoops and all that kind of stuff. And eventually you get promoted out of the job. That's kind of fun. So I did.
In the Army, you can't just like, I want to be a corporal and I'm going to stay corporal. Like, you have to.
Well,
really?
yes. Well, yes. So, I mean, here's the thing. I would have liked, yes, feel free to promote me to major and colonel and things like that. But keep me in the same job. That's not the way that works.
Okay.
And the other obstacle for the Army was having to, believe it or not, a doctorate wasn't enough. So you had to at least go get a 1-year master's in like public health or something. And I kind of went, vet school burned me out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at the start. And I literally could not bring myself to go back to a formalized education, even for a year.
Right.
I just couldn't. Oh, God. Even now, I like learning. I love learning, but no. Undergrad was great. Vet school was, I mean, hell is, I think vet school is below hell.
The 10th circle.
I think you have to get through hell to get to vet school, basically.
And then are clinicals under that?
Well, you mean after vet school?
Yeah.
Yeah, clinical year.
Like internships and residencies? I wouldn't know, because I went into the Army instead.
That was kind of like your clinical year, if you will. Clinical 5 years.
Yeah. I really like the Army. I really enjoyed it. It's the job has changed since I've been in, but there was so much to do, because you had the clinics, you had the public health aspect, which was food inspection and things like that. You had the military aspect with having people to manage and things like that. And I really lucked out in my 5 years because my boss was always about 600 miles away. And what they didn't know didn't hurt me. I think if you ask my classmates, they would say, "You went into the Army? How did that work?" But yeah, I think I had way more freedom in the Army than I would have going into a practice under somebody and things like that. The learning curve was a lot steeper though, and I don't. Looking back, that was dumb, but I enjoyed it.
Well, so quick question: as an Army vet, you, my understanding of the job, because one of my other friends was an Army vet as well. My understanding of the job is you just do like basic general wellness, like you're there for vaccines, spays and neuters, right? Because like more complicated stuff has to go to like the local veterinarians.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that would be accurate. And I mean, you could do things. You could run it as however much you did or did not want to. But if it was anything, beyond, we wouldn't treat Cushing's or diabetes or things. We would go, get that done elsewhere. But we could diagnose.
Gotcha. Just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we're at the Army.
The
most surprising thing about this interview so far is that you went to UC Davis, because never once have you told me you went to UC Davis and then followed it up by saying #1 vet school in the country.
I do not promote UC Davis. I don't. No, I can't give it to them.
I think we all have scars from vet school.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Not me. I don't have any scars from vet school.
Hint. After this talk here, go read Vet School in the Deep End of Midnight.
Okay.
Because was my experience.
Okay. Like actually.
in a sense, I could tell you literally all sentences and situations and stuff like that all kind of went into that, which is basically a horror story.
Yeah, no, like nothing scarier than real life.
There's nothing
Right.
fictionalized about it. You just talked about your years
Like-
there.
I just changed the names.
Yeah, my alarm went off at 4 a.m. I had to be at school in 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I slept an hour.
I had a couple of beta readers who said I really caught the spirit, so to speak, of vet school. You know, that existential dread that you kind of, you know, like a miasma that affected, I think, everybody.
Yeah.
Which actually, let's get back around to, so Army, and then I went into private practice, which really wasn't that private. People were in and out of there all day. It's crazy.
It's a bad name.
And yeah. Also, the word practice. At this point, I think I got it down pretty well. But so I don't know what it is I do there. But anyway, but I've been I've been at pretty much at the same place since. And I did a 6 months in Arizona, which was you know, has its own narrative, but well, for shortness purposes, I've been pretty much at the same place since then.
Okay.
Cats and dogs, but I've been doing the cartooning because I know that's the next segue.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's go into the cartooning.
Yeah, so the
well,
cartooning started before vet school.
1 second. So like, let's start off for the majority, the comics that. It's actually funny because I became friends with you on Facebook before I knew you were a cartoonist, but had been reading your cartoons for years. And then I got a message from my former roommate, Penny, asking how I knew Dean Scott. And I was like, I think we met on like a Facebook group. And I just like thought he was funny. So I friended him. She's like, I love him. Like, have you? And she started showing me your work. And that's how I realized like I had been talking to someone whose work I greatly admire. So let's throw that out there right now. I mean it when I say I'm excited to read. I'm sorry, can you say the title one more time?
The Deep End of Midnight.
It's totally exactly what Peter Benchley like wanted his Jaws title to be. Is like really? He did an interview and he was like, I wanted something really existential. And he was like, the dark end of midnight, Jaws from the deep, or stuff like that. And he was like, they told me I had 4 letters worth of space. And so I was like, okay, Jaws it is. Anyway, so like, yeah, I will let you talk again. So let's start. You started cartooning in vet school, before vet school, you say? Before
vet school.
Okay.
So I had never put pen or pencil to paper until I left Dr. Webb's place. So I was like an assistant technician at his place. You know, kind of that's that level where they go, did you touch that? And it's like, no. Did you look at it? Okay. He says, don't do that again. So when I left there, I'd been there for about a year. We moved up to Davis. We had already established a residency, and we thought, I'll get a job at the campus. Maybe that'll help me kind of get in, because I didn't get in the first time. Being stubborn, I tried again and had no idea. So I did 12 cartoons just based on funny things that had happened at the clinic while I was there. And Dr. Webb has those. He's passed, unfortunately.
Sorry to hear that.
But he got Lou Gehrig's disease. But he was a great guy. Really, really nice guy. But anyway, he has the original 12 cartoons, which I have copies of, and they hurt my eyes looking at them. Like, wow. I mean, my style has changed. I think it's improved. But it's definitely started in one place, and so anyway, so I started.
If your early work doesn't make you cringe a little, then you're doing it wrong.
Right.
Good point. Right.
Yeah. So
it was perfect.
yeah, like I started out perfect, and I've just been perfect from here on out.
So that kind of was spontaneous, and then vet school just gave me so much
Oh yeah.
material. I mean, I got 2 books out of that. I always tell people I got 2 books out of vet school, cartoon books, and the From the Back Row and Vet Med Spread, which are now under the titles Vet School Survival Guides. But the idea for those books came from the top 1,000 vet school stresses.
Okay.
I don't know if there's actually 1,000 in there, but I consider those 2 books, because those were what kind of got me started. I consider those 2 books the best primer for anyone who wants to go to vet school. You don't need Ettinger. You don't need the textbooks. You just need these 2 books, because so many people have told me how much they helped them in vet school, but also if they read them before vet school, they actually felt a little better about vet school when things would go not well, because
Which sounds like it happens a lot.
Oh yeah. Let me put it this way: I'm really surprised and grateful that these people have this experience. People tell me that no, vet school was great, I loved it, and I'm like, well, that's great. That absolutely was not my experience, and maybe it's kind of like Unbreakable, where those people are the Bruce Willis role, with the superpowers, and I'm Mr. Glass. Falling downstairs here.
Well, I will say a lot of your cartooning does help me as just a general clinician, because like I see some and I'm like, this isn't even funny. This is just someone who like I'm like, I had this exact same appointment today.
Yeah. There, I will admit, if you analyze my cartoons too much, it's like, well, that's not really funny.
Yeah, no. Like, I'll look at them and just be like, no, this happened.
Any good joke of any medium has an element of truth to it. If there's no relatability to it, it's not funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Speaking of your cartoons, where are you syndicated anywhere? Where are you published through?
I have been I'm independent to a fault, but I'll say it this way too. In trying to get my so I used to have I still have a website called funnyvet.com. Funnyvet.com has changed over the years. For about 12 to 15 years, it was free and open access to all my cartoons. So I was doing 20 to 25 cartoons a month and posting new cartoons and all that kind of stuff. And then now it's much more simplified. It's more just a landing area for all of my stuff. It's like this is my brain just splatted into the internet. So I took a lot of cartoons and I put them into books, The Lighter Side of Veterinary Medicine, 1, 2, and 3. There's 3 volumes, and I have enough material to do 3 more volumes that are going to be called Veterinary Confidential at some point in the future. I actually they're just sitting in a drawer right now, waiting to be put out into the world. So right now it's mainly through Amazon, things of that nature. I still do some cartooning, but the writing has taken over my life at this point. But the cartooning, I still post on different groups and things like that if I feel I have anything. The biggest problem where my cartooning is now is I feel like I've said everything. I mean, some things still come up.
Right.
I'm always up for a good fat dog cartoon. It's so that's kind of waned, but it's not gone.
Well, I mean, having to produce 20 to 25 a month, like that is that's almost.
I didn't have to.
No, you opted to. Well, okay, so I was talking to one of my good friends. Her wife is a writer, and she's also a psychologist. So in a similar boat to you, you're a doctor, and you also are published. But like her advice, because I'm a creative, I just never finish anything. So yeah. But her advice was like, you just have to like start doing it and like start like producing an output, and that seems like kind of what you decided to do.
Well, it's therapy for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole impulse, I'm gonna get back around because I realized I didn't answer your question. But for me, that's yeah. Anyway, but for me, I do what I do one for myself
Mm-hmm.
because I think things are funny, and I've actually been corrected by some people saying that is not funny, and I'm like, absolutely, it is funny. It's just not funny to you, but
Humor is
Humor's subjective.
subjective.
yes, right. So, but I've been corrected. So anyway, but the reason I do what I do and what I've even from the back row and vet med spread, the whole genesis has been I hear our colleagues struggling. I hear our the both older than me and younger than me, and even those who haven't graduated yet. And I always felt that part of the problem was there seems to be. I remember when I was in vet school, everyone else seemed fine. Obviously, they weren't, right? You know, they
Like,
weren't.
no.
They weren't. I
Well,
that, but my
we all always think that we're struggling or we're the weird ones, or like it's a very like self-centered world where like anytime you're doing something that's weird, talking to yourself, or just while you're driving along the road or whatever, you're like, oh man, no one else is this stupid, no one else talks to themselves while they're driving. And then you look to the next car and you see somebody else just sitting there jammering to themselves, like, okay, maybe I'm not as weird as I thought.
During vet school and still today, I always had like a oh, look at that, someone came to my mom's house, that's why 8 dogs are now barking. During vet school and even now that I practice, I've always been very open about my personal struggles and like when I fail, and like I failed the nav leave, speaking of like times we have failed, and like that whole night I was like, oh my god, everyone passed this. You look in social media, everyone's like, I'm gonna be a doctor, and I'm like, I failed, I suck. And so I just decided to write like this long it was an FAQ, and it was like, how did the Navly go? And it was like, it failed. And then I just tried to make it funny. It turned out pretty good. I liked it. But I'm not that funny. Anyway, like, but I got message after message from people, like after I posted it, that were just like, thank you. Like I felt so alone. And like, so I get that mentality of, trying to just kind of put your stuff out there, cause like you see the struggles. Anyway, that's it.
Right. I think it's important that we share, because especially there are a lot of single doctor practices, for instance, and if things are not going the way you think they should, and yet you hear from others, oh yeah, same thing happened to me. Oh yeah, same thing happened to me. Oh, I've done that. Da, 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 da. And in this case, I do it through a cartoon humor format, where people go, I so relate to this, and I'm so glad somebody else had this thing because I thought it was just me. All of that is taking that pressure off of yourself.
Absolutely.
When where you can just kind of just let that, because that's what happens. It builds up, you think it's all you it's a lot of self-incrimination and things of that nature, and then you go, oh wait, that guy's managing, and he's
Absolutely.
this. So that's what the whole impulse for the vet school vet student books. And just to touch back a little bit also, Sophia Yin was one of my classmates.
Oh God, really?
Yeah. So
that's incredible.
No,
I don't know who that is.
So just to clarify for the idiot
common idiots, yeah,
common idiots out there, I like how condescending we are to our quote unquote fan base. My mom.
I'm not, but I'm a regular person.
So
You're
we
regular.
wrote like a really famous vet school book, the Vet School Survival Guide. Or no, I'm sorry. I think I got the title wrong, Dean.
She was behaviorist.
Yeah, she was a behaviorist.
Yes.
But she wrote a famous vet school book. And
Well, she did the small animal handbook.
Thank you.
Yes.
She unfortunately passed away. And we don't need to go into that. Unless Dean would like to.
For those who, well, her suicide was a big impetus for a lot of what we're talking about today in the profession.
And that is something like that we should bring up, is that veterinarians do have 3 times the suicide rate of any other profession. Mental health is really like a big issue for us. That's why the podcast did a mental health episode, and we do kind of try to talk about mental health. But anyway, I'll let you continue, Dean.
Yeah, that's
but she was kind enough to, and this gets back to the question I didn't answer before. The original From the Back Row Cattle Dog Publishing, by the good graces of Sophia, became a thing. And it had a form, it had a substance. It wasn't just cartoons sitting on my desk. So I will always owe her, for that. Everything else since then has been self-published, and that was part of the answer I was trying to give earlier. Outside of Sophia, and maybe a couple of times where I've been able to do an article for a DVM magazine or something of that nature, where I included cartoons. Other than the base fan, the people I try to reach, Kent and Penny, everybody else, the profession itself doesn't quite get humor. So I tried approaching publishing companies and things of that nature, and yeah, that's really funny. We really like that, and that was it. That was pretty much it. And it doesn't translate well. They understand textbooks. They get that, absolutely. Oh, you got a textbook, you got research, you got to put that. They get that. You start throwing cartoons at them, they're like, who let him in?
Why would we want to be funny? Why would we want to make light of our life?
I tried to get a booth at one of the vets conferences that will remain unnamed, and they were actually advertising. Oh, when you've never had a booth before, this is new, a new thing we're offering for new people to come in, and I told them what I do. And at the time, I think I had a lot less books than I do now, but I had the cartoon humor books and things of that nature for veterinarians, specifically for veterinarians. I might have even had the Incomplete Dog book at that time, which is another cartoon humor book. But anyway, and they got back to me and they said, we don't see how your material fits. And I'm like, okay.
But I feel like there's a huge pocket for that.
I know.
God forbid we have some levity.
I'm so used to rejection, I guess is the way to put it, that I kind of went, okay. I don't even fight it anymore. I mean, it's like, okay, I don't know what else I can do, but but it's important for me to get it out to people. And so the mode that it is in now is in book form, and sometimes in Facebook groups and stuff like that. So that's where that stands.
Well, in a lot of our Facebook groups, someone will come up with a problem about being fed up with something, and you'll be like, "Oh, I got a comic for this," and just post that.
I do.
It is, well, I mean, it's a nice way to add levity.
Yes, at my clinic, they're so used to me saying, "I have a cartoon about that." Nobody's like, "Can you believe what just happened? I'm like, I got a cartoon about that. It's uncanny.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's days where I read your comics and I'm like, and I say this in the nicest possible way. I'm like, no, I'm reading this and I feel frustrated for you because I know this is a real conversation you had with someone.
Yeah. And sometimes the cartoons offer a response, even if it's not something you verbally say to a client. You can think back to that cartoon and go, "Oh, that makes me feel so much better that if I could say that without getting arrested, that would be, it gives you that good, warm, fuzzy feeling like I'm not the only one who, so for instance, I know I've been corrected also by some colleagues of, being mean about things. And I'm like, no, I'm always nice to everybody, but I am absolutely going to express frustrations for those things that come up, where you're like, I really wish you would listen to me. And then I'll go do a cartoon where I have a response to that I would never say to somebody, obviously, but anyway.
Well, I mean, like, I do conversations with clients sometimes on Facebook posts, and people are like, always like, you made that up. And I'm like, no, like, that is, I mean, within my recollection, that is what was said between me and them. And everyone's like, no, I don't believe that. And I'm like, no, like, you'd be surprised, like, the conversations that we have to have with owners.
Right. Do you talk to clients on Facebook?
No, I'll do when I have like a weird conversation with a client, I'll just like type it out as a post on Facebook. That's my way of spreading humor to the world, is social media and a podcast with 1.5 listeners of my mom.
as somebody who works, there we go.
Perfect.
Double. As somebody who's worked in retail for as long as I did, like, I believe every stupid thing that you say a client said, because, like, while it's not animal related, I've probably heard something just as obnoxious or just as stupid or just as out there. When you've been around it long enough, you absolutely have. I do want to kind of steer this a little bit. I want to kind of go into I was going to. That's why I said.
I was giving you permission.
Oh, thank you. I am so glad you were gracious enough, prick. Because it's funny, like, Kent did talk. This episode's a little bit about side hustles, and a lot of times when we talk side hustles, it's like working a pizza delivery joint or doing Grubhub or doing Uber, and like you've got a whole ass like another career that other people would kill to have. I kind of try to do that with music. I think it's known that I make music very poorly. But like I was looking at your list because I'll be honest, I didn't even know anything about you. You're huge in the vet world, but in the common world, there wasn't anything, not much about you, but a quick Google search and I found a ton of things. And first of all, you're incredibly impressive. So I do have to give you that kudos. I saw your list on Goodreads too. Like, you are highly rated, like, and you have a lot of books in there. One thing that I do want to say is, like, because I'm more of a movie guy, like, I feel like if a book is worth reading, someone will make a movie out of it. But one thing I really appreciate about you is, like, your depth of genre is so all over the place. Like, you're not like Scorseseing it where I'm only going to do mobster movies. Like, you're very much like Stanley Kubrick. Like, Kubrick, like, name a genre and Kubrick did it. And by degrees, Mel Brooks, same thing, where spoof just about everything out there that you can do. So, like, was this intentional, or you just kind of find yourself just I feel like doing humor, I feel like doing horror? Like, how's that happen?
I don't know how many people are up in my brain. I think it's just me, but so I'm easily bored. And that's actually when I get dangerous. That's where I got so many cartoons done during vet school too. Oh wait, maybe it wasn't UC Davis's fault. Hold on. Hold
I
on.
could study, or I could
Let me
pound out
rethink
15 cartoons.
Anyway, so I definitely have genres I enjoy, that I read more of, fantasy and sci-fi. But whatever, my brain, I don't have control over, and that's why I say I don't. It's hard for me to take any credit for any. I take credit for the cartooning because I know where that comes from.
Mm-hmm.
The writing though comes from somewhere else, and it's a bit uncanny because for the most part, and I talk about that a little bit in some of the prologues to a couple of the books, that I don't feel I can take credit because these things just go, oh, here, isn't this neat? And I'm like, oh, that is neat.
Yeah.
So,
I can relate. Yeah, with
yeah,
music,
and so
the
I
lyrics.
had the first two short story collections, Something for Everyone, was the thing that started the writing. And just like cartooning, did I have a reason? Did I have an impetus? I just kind of went, boy, I've written short story ideas, and I just ideas down for like 20 plus years, because that's, again, I just feel I need to write down. And I think some of these are worthwhile to maybe, expand on and stuff like that. So I did that with Something for Everyone, and it came out really well. I was very pleased. They felt like something that I would pick up and go, oh, I enjoyed that. And because I read so much. And then
quick interjection. I actually
please.
haven't heard of Something for Anyone, so you want to tell us about that book?
So Something for Everyone is exactly that. It's a collection of short stories. There's sci-fi, there's fantasy, there's a mystery, there's drama, there's a supernatural element, there's a love story, and the love story kind of came about this way because, and this is the way my brain works, and maybe this is a good illustration. So I had these short story ideas. Okay, I'm gonna put these into a book. And then I'm like, this one's not working. That one's not working. Now I don't feel like I have enough material. And because they were different genres, I thought the title, Something for Everyone, would tell people kind of what's in the book to some degree. But hey, this is some of these things you might not like. You may not like a love story. You may like the fantasy more. So it was kind of a chance type thing like that. But then when I came up with the title for Something for Everyone, I thought, most collections have the title is one of the stories in the book. And so then my brain went, ooh, Something for Everyone. Oh, you know what? I could do this. And so the story you read that is titled Something for Everyone in that was like came about through this process, this roundabout process. And that book, that story, I think I did a really good job with. And it's kind of if you're going to read Something for Everyone, that first story is a bit gut wrenching. And yet it came about through this process I just shared with you.
Absolutely.
So yeah, some of the things for me are just fun. There's almost always humor in my stuff, even in my horror and stuff like that. There'll be something. So then I did gosh, I've lost track. I think I did Something for Everyone, and at the same time I was working on Callie, which is my children's book that I did. It was the first time I ever did any digital illustration, through just computer. So it just exists in JPEG and PNG form. So I did those overlapping because honestly, to some degree, I was nervous about doing either project. So when I would feel like I was getting anxious about one project, I'd go, well, I'll go play over here for a bit. So those two things came out, and Callie came out really well too. And I'll never do that again because that was a year and a half of I don't know what I'm doing. It looks good. I don't know. And it was so much more work. And I'm sure people who actually know computer programs probably would do better and faster. But anyway, so those two came out. And then it's like I opened up the floodgates because now I couldn't help but think in a writing format. So for 20 plus years, I was in a cartooning format. And now my brain went, let's go do this for a while. Let's go play this. In fact, one of my coworkers asked me, well, how long do you think you're going to write for? I said, well, I didn't even plan on writing. I don't know. I don't, for all I know, I'll get bored with that. I'll go do something else when I'm 70. I don't know. But right now, I'll be honest with you, I am so enjoying the writing. I mean, and I'm enjoying people's enjoyment of it. I mean, that's such a thrill for me. One of my favorite reviews somebody shared with me verbally. They said that their early teenage son read Dragon Vet, and when they were done, they brought it to the person who was telling me, his mom, brought it to his mom, and he said, I need you to read this so we can talk about it. And I'm like, holy crud. I don't even know. I'm done now. I have served my purpose in life. And it was just, so that's been, the writing has been completely rewarding for me.
Is there going to be a third Dragon Vet, by the way?
Yes. So, I'm trying. So I did something for everyone. Did Callie, and then I did the second short story collection. Our Thoughts Are With You, and each of my short story collections always have a solely veterinary short story in them. Because that's, of course, I want to serve the people who have helped me so much in life. I always want to acknowledge my peeps. Do they still say peeps? I really feel like I just.
Oh, you're talking to two old men.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't
saying anymore.
I really feel like I just aged myself.
No cap. It's all about the Riz, yo. I don't know what I just said.
Last time.
Demure.
Anyway,
last time the kids I knew were saying crack-a-lackin', so that's
so
you're square.
So I did Our Thoughts with You. So Dragon Vet actually came out of a short story in Something for Everyone. That was the fantasy entry in the original collection. And my oldest daughter and I kind of brainstormed, oh, well, what other, I wasn't even thinking about doing a book, but you know what? I was thinking about doing other short stories within collections where we get to visit this veterinarian again and something else happens. And then I realized, wow, I have actually a lot of material. And that grew into Dragon Vet, so I even planning a novel was not planned. Neither did Dragon Vet at all in my mind when I was writing that. Did I think I'd do 3 books? So we've got Dragon Vet, the Dragon Vet's Apprentice, and Dragon Vet Ascendant should be out at the beginning of next year.
Excellent.
But none of this was planned. This is just my brain poking me, going, work, do it. And just to let you know, just this weekend, I finished 2 chapters of what will become after Dragon Vet. It's called The Half-Life of Grief. So it's a whole, again, getting back into different genre. This is urban fantasy.
Okay.
And I'm so thrilled about writing that right now. So
is that going to be a full
done.
Novel, or is that another short story collection?
Oh no, it's a novel.
Okay.
Yep.
This is
so basically. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say this really incredible. I do want to say though, like you keep selling your titles short because, like, from the back row, a list of veterinary school stressors as viewed by a student on Prozac. I fell out of my chair laughing. I fell out of my chair laughing reading that one. And you've also not mentioned real men don't get out of the shower to pee, which really like speaks to me. Like I'm gonna buy a bunch of your books, and that's gonna be the first. That's not yours? Well, never mind.
No. But
that was on the Goodreads list, so
yeah, wow,
they did you wrong.
Well, odd as my name seems like it would be, no. So okay, this is kind of funny. So I got invited to do a book signing for the Incomplete Dog book at a Barnes and Nobles, and I showed up, and not anywhere is advertised me or my book. You know, I showed up at the arranged time and all this kind of stuff, and they had. So apparently, there's a 12-year-old black kid who wrote a children's book. I don't know if he illustrated or not either, but his name's Dean Scott. And so I walked in, and I'm like, I don't think I can pass. You know, I don't. So and they were, you know, right, and now so he didn't show because they had, you know, they thought, I think, that they had arranged it with him, and I guess would be his family most likely, but he didn't show up, and there I was.
But like, you were showing up for a signing of your book,
right?
Like,
right. So
they thought he wrote a different book.
So yeah, it's just the name of Dean Scott. For whoever, there was some miscommunication.
Somebody messed up somewhere pretty bad.
They ordered his books to be there, and luckily I had my own copies, so we sold those instead, because I think I always subconsciously think things are going to go wrong. And
this is a good strategy.
It made me laugh though, because I'm like, yeah, we're very different people. But anyway, go ahead. I feel like I interrupted.
No, you're fine. You've been doing great.
Oh, thanks.
And then, well, I mean, the question's null and void because I was going to talk about that book, but it doesn't matter at this point. But like the Incomplete Dog book, also nothing you ever wanted to know about dogs.
Yes.
Just absolutely great titles that are drawing me in. Like I said, I'm gonna be making some purchases, and hopefully some of our listeners will be too.
Yeah, that is a dog breed parody book that I did. I did all the illustrations. I think there's 180 cartoons in there, and so for me as a veterinarian, I'm sure can chime in here too. I hate, because it's just, you just want to sit there and go, lie. That's a lie. That's not accurate. You know, you're trying to sell this breed. So a couple of things. So for me, the Incomplete Dog book is the most honest book you will get about dogs and our enjoyment of dogs and what they do for us, and sometimes what they don't do for us. But also, you probably won't learn anything from it. So if you do learn something from it, I apologize in advance. But yeah, that's where that came from, and that took me about a year and a half. So I just basically, I took a whole bunch of different dog breed books and I just read through them, and then I just, you know, made fun of them to a large degree. And
that's awesome.
I've had some people say that they thought actually some of what I had to say was way more accurate than other breed books that they'd read, and I'm like, well, cool. I was just amusing myself.
With the Dragon Vet book, is there like an actual, obviously there's no dragons that you've ever been able to work on, I'm assuming. No, but like, is there a veterinary side to it? Like almost like a quasi science fiction, like are they doing like the mundane? Are they do they ever do like just like the blood tests, you know, poop samples?
Right. So it's fantasy based. So
right.
Which was interesting, and that's kind of why I'm really happy to be doing the urban fantasy, because I can actually talk about cell phones. I can, you know, so I didn't realize how when you write fantasy where it's technically quasi middle ages and stuff like that, they have, you know, I can't say things like it struck him like lightning. I can't say it was moving as fast as a train. You know, you don't realize the limitations, so you start writing. You're like, right. How can I describe this? So for me, Dragon Vet, what I wanted to do was I wanted to take the fantasy, because if any book that you read any fantasy book that you read, it's rural settings and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, where are the
Right.
veterinarians? Right. And that's kind
That's
of where the
true.
thought came from. And I'm like, okay, now how would they operate in this realm? What would they be involved in those kinds of things? That's kind of where it came from. So yes, absolutely. Dr. James Wright and his apprentice Stephen, they are doing cow stuff and sheep stuff and things like that. And I kind of had to kind of cursorily introduce those things because the main focus that people come to the book for is, oh, and where's the dragon? And
Right.
when, you know, and so
Well, dragons
so
are cool.
I grounded everything into, okay, these are real. How would you deal with it? You know, you can't just walk up. So my animals don't talk. Some are more intelligent than others in the way they respond to people. But even the medicine, as much as I kind of had to finagle things and make up plant names, that's a pain medication. Sure, we'll just go with that. I really tried to ground it in. Well, I can't talk about it too much because I don't want to give things away to people. But
Right, that's fair.
But I really tried to. I talked to some of my large animal people and stuff like that, and my reptile people and stuff like that, to go, okay, if basically extrapolating certain things and going, okay, what if that was in the dragon, or what if and then again, it's just my brain playing with things, and I always want to, and this is why, getting back to the multiple genres, I don't like to read things I've read before, where I'm like, the vampire is, they can't be together, but I bet they're together by the end of the book.
Right.
And, so I like to try to take things and just kind of skew them a little bit, just for fun. And I'm hoping, for me, when you go to read Stephen King to a large degree, you're going, this is going to be horror. This is going to be, certain things you expect. And what I want readers who follow me to go is, I don't know what he's going to do. That's the kind of reader I want, who's like, oh, I'm going to pick that up because I liked what he did on these things, and I want to constantly surprise people, by being surprised myself, with how things come out. So
my biggest thing is, I want to know, like, if are dragons, if they're reptilian, if they lose a tail, does it grow back like some other reptiles?
So I would say offhand, in my world of Dragon Vet, no, that wouldn't be.
Well, your world, your rules. So
yes. But there is a Hydra in the first Dragon Vet, which operates under Hydra rules. But even that, I put a different spin on what happens to a Hydra, when they do get another head, 3 heads, 4 heads, things like that. So, but yeah, I'm really excited to get Dragon Vet Ascendant out. I'm getting great feedback from beta readers. It goes out to my editor next month, who might turn around and go, oh, I like the other 2. I don't know what you're doing here. And in the meantime, because I have so much pent up energy, I'm working on the Half-Life of Grief. So this is how I keep busy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where do you find the time for all of this?
I get that a lot. I'm really efficient and I'm really focused. And that's, and I give myself, and I will.
Uh-oh.
I think we're losing you, Dean.
Oh, I think you might be back.
Yeah, you have to let yourself off. What's that?
We had a little bit.
Over. You cut entirely out.
Yeah, you cut out there.
Oh no. Oh, okay.
Oh no, you're fine.
Should I start over from? Well, I went to UC Davis, graduated in '93. What did I cut out?
Do you remember the last thing he said, Corey?
It was right about like how he gets asked about his time. Always efficient, always stays focused, and then that's where you started fading.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So no, I was just talking about I talk with a lot of writers, and for me, it's a matter of, first of all, my brain won't let me rest. So sometimes I'm up 2 or 3 in the morning because it's going, hey, this is a neat idea. So, yeah, it is. Can I please sleep? No, you can't. And but there's that. But but it's just a matter of, I don't also hold myself to going, oh, I'm going to get 10,000 words done. I don't do that. I might get a lot done this weekend, and it might languish for 2 weeks. It never languishes because my brain's always churning in the back. But so it's just a matter of, if I do 200 words today, great. That's 200 words more than I had. So it's just I'm just really persistent, and the other thing though too is, to some degree, this has been therapy for me because I have a real job, the job that pays the bills and stuff like that. And then I have this writing stuff now, which was cartooning stuff. I had the writing stuff, and it's so much more rewarding. Not only in, I enjoy being with these characters, being in these worlds, seeing what happens, because sometimes I don't even know. I have a plan and it doesn't go that way. And the I completely lost my train of thought. See, but it's so I get endorphins from that. So to some degree, how can you get so much done? It's like, well, because I'm getting my hit. I'm getting my fix. so and I want that fix, so I'm gonna do that now. So there might be a little bit of that in there too.
Understand that for sure.
So the new book, your horror anthology, let's talk about that, because this is kind of a bit of a departure for you.
I had, because of the multi-genre aspect of the other 2 short stories, I still have many short stories written down, some that may never get made. It all depends on what my brain wants to do. But I definitely had way more horror related ones. I'm like, you know what? I want to do just a straight horror, just get that out there. And I just thought that'd be fun.
Have you always been a fan of horror?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yes. Yeah, James Herbert, Stephen King. What's that?
What's your favorite horror movie?
Favorite horror movie? I can't. There's too many. I will tell you the ones that I will tell you the ones that raise up in that level that scared me the most. And of course, a lot of those are, how do you say it? It's the timing sometimes of when you see something. Right. So The Exorcist was on the list.
Classic.
Alien, the first Alien, seeing it in the theater, not knowing anything, going into that theater. Yeah. Wow. Let's see. And now I feel like I'm forgetting something. Exorcist, Alien. There's a trilogy of terror. It's from the 70s. It actually came out on TV. And there's the third part of that trilogy, which has a Zuni fetish doll that comes to life.
Yeah.
And I
with the sharp teeth. Anne Bancroft, I think, was, if I'm not mistaken. Or some famous.
Karen Black.
Okay.
It was that. And I really feel like Jaws. I'm sorry, Jaws. How could I forget Jaws?
We can't go podcast without mentioning Jaws.
Right. Well, right. So
you already did, actually.
This is the second time.
Yeah. So Jaws I saw in Florida during the summer by myself. My dad just dropped me off at the theater, and because I was visiting, and that's perfect. It's like I go to the beach every day, and I'm watching Jaws, and I think I did the math. I think I would have been 9, which is not a good time to seeing Jaws. Then you go out into the Florida sun, and right there's the beach, literally right there is Melbourne Beach. I'm not going in there again. And Alien, for all those reasons of that first novel, sitting watching a movie that nothing about, that brings so much more depth and unexpected things. Oh God, that was a rough one to get through. I saw that one with my mom, and The Exorcist has a story if we have time.
Yeah.
Okay, so The Exorcist, I'm watching again at my dad's house during the summer. Florida has storms during the summer, and I did not see The Exorcist in the theater, but The Exorcist came out on that new streaming platform called HBO at the time. And I was so excited. Now I mean, I was way too young for The Exorcist, and I can't remember. I would have been 10 or 11, maybe, I think, when it came out on HBO. But I'm so excited because I love horror movies. I can't wait to watch this. Now, the setting is it's nighttime, it's storming out. My dad's out with his friends and not expected anytime soon, but I don't care. I got The Exorcist. And this was in the days of no remotes. Okay. So I'm about 7 or 8 feet away from the wooden console TV that has the dial, right? And I'm so excited, and it's storming out. And I don't remember what the scene was. Even having rewatched Exorcist a few times over the years, I blanked it out because I don't remember the scene where I don't recall crossing the room. I don't think my feet crossed that 8-foot distance, but suddenly I was at the console TV, turning it off, pushing that big button. I couldn't take it. And I stood there. I still remember this, and I'm thinking, I want to watch this. I'm sure that scene's passed by now. Don't remember the scene. So I turned it back on, and I watched the rest of the movie. But yes, that is my Exorcist story. How scared, and the same thing with Trilogy of Terror with the Zuni fetish doll. I was at home by myself. I was in California with my mom, and I'm watching this movie, and they do a really good job. Even rewatching it as an adult, I'm like, they did a really good job for what they could do at that time. And I remember being internally scared, and I watched the whole thing. But then after the movie was over, I kept hearing the tap 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 of Zuni doll's feet in my house. And I'm like, where is it? But those are all. I literally just described to you my childhood of based around those movies.
Sounds about right. When we were little, the movie The Gate, it must have been on TV, or I think we rented it. But like
The Gate?
Yeah. And like I didn't rewatch that movie for 30 years because it scared us so bad. And then it came up on Netflix, and I was, now in my 30s, and I watched it, and I texted my brother, and I was like, why were we so afraid of that? And he's like, I don't know. I haven't seen it since, and I won't turn it back on.
Yeah, that's but yeah, so yeah, horror is probably my foundation. Fantasy, sci-fi is definitely on top of that. I certainly do like reading nonfiction, historical fiction. I have a whole broad spectrum of things that I like to read personally, and it depends on my mood. Biographies, but horror probably is the foundation, and I think The Deep End of Midnight does a really good job of. I can give myself credit for I did a good job on that. Just to let you know, so come next month, I'm going to be doing a reading of A Halloween Carol, which is from The Deep End of Midnight.
Okay.
So if you think of A Christmas Carol, it's basically the same. It's the same structure, but based around Halloween. If Tim Burton is listening, it'd be great if you want to pick up.
Hollywood needs to be coming for the rights to some of these books.
The Halloween Carol, of all the stories in there, and they all have a fondness in my heart. I think I really hit a home run on that one. Just the structure and the themes that came up that I did not intend just worked so well. So I'm going to do a reading. There's a bookstore called the Inklings Bookstore in Bartow, Florida, and they are gracious enough to let me have their studio for a while and do a reading, and it'll drop as a post. What we decided, we're gonna drop
I
that.
think
That
we
works.
call it drop.
Drop.
Yes.
Okay, so
Drop.
so that'll drop sometime. We're planning for October, obviously, to drop that into people's ears. So I do get a lot of requests for Audible. Just Audible's so pricey and expensive, but I really thought a Halloween Carol needs to get out there and maybe become, we're going to listen to this every year, kind of
That'd be cool.
thing. Yeah, it would be cool.
Hey.
That's high stuff, but I don't. For me, I have been rewarded so much for my cartooning, for my writing, than anything in my chosen profession, in the profession that I wanted as a kid and got. But I've been rewarded so much from the kindness of people sharing how much the cartoons have meant to them, how funny something is. I enjoyed that book, why would I stop?
Absolutely.
True.
I mean, it's next. I have to finish. God, what the crap is the book I'm reading right now? I have to finish. The title is. It doesn't matter, really. Like I don't know this person anything. Bone White is the title. When I finish that, your next book is on my shelf, waiting to be read. So
let me know.
Yeah, I will. But I'll leave a positive review on Goodreads.
Well, if you didn't like it, don't leave her.
If I won't leave a review if I don't like it. But now I'm interested to read Vet School. I might just plow through that one tonight just to see what it is. So I think it's probably time we start to wrap up.
Yeah, that's a really good segue to the end. Anything that you want to plug, push, promote?
Yeah, go ahead and give us where people can find you.
Oh, okay. Well, you can find. Yeah, I'm a terrible self-promoter, but www.funnyvet.com has access to all of my stuff. So, yes, all of my books are on there. You can find a link to my YouTube page, which has skit comedy, animated skit comedy. I didn't do the animation; it was borrowed from what was offered, but all the words are mine. It has song parodies on there that I had another gentleman who had a studio and was very amazing with music. I didn't sing any of it, but the words are mine. And then Cafe Press, there's a link to my Cafe Press store, which I have almost 500 original designs for putting on shirts and mugs and things like that. But all of that in a nutshell comes down to funnyvet.com is where you can find everything.
All right.
Sounds perfect. All right. Thank you so much for giving us an hour of your time. Yeah, this has been an absolute blast. Kent, you knocked it out of the park on this find. Dean, thank you again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Corey the Comment Idiot, for Kent the Doctor Idiot, and Dean Scott the author idiot, saying
yes, idiot.
Saying this is VetMed for idiots by idiots, and have the day you deserve. Bye.